right. Thank you guys for joining us. This is the Sporadic Gaming Podcast, episode 6. I am D, your lovely host, and I'm being joined by repeat guest Rhina. Go ahead and say hi. Or don't. I don't
Hello.
care. What's up, buddy? As well as my other friend, who will introduce himself. He's new here, so please be nice. Gabe, go ahead and say hi.
Hi. I don't have any socials or internet presence besides Discord, maybe.
It's true. Yeah, he just kind of sits in our Discord and yells at us sometimes, but you know, we love him.
Yeah.
So so first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We've got a lot to talk about today, and I wanted your presence on this show specifically because I think you have a little bit of a different background than me on a lot of this stuff. And you know, with everything that's been going on this week, you know, I try, especially on this show, you know, I try to keep things light and breezy and not get too negative. Though I do have to say, you know, we got to preface this a little bit. Today's show is going to be a little negative. And so I apologize. That's not the kind of show I want to run, but sometimes stuff happens and I don't want to ignore serious topics. You know, I do not believe in the if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I will be a little negative this episode. But before we get into negative stuff, it's tradition. I want to go around the table. I want to talk about what we've all been playing, what we've all been up to, you know, what games and stuff like that. So since you are new here, Gabe, I want to let you go ahead and start us off. What have you been playing?
Sure. Yeah. Still a lot of Call of Duty. I'm still working on the Warzone calling cards, mainly because I don't know how. I'm pretty sure Warzone resets, so if I don't get them before Black Ops 7 comes out, I might not ever get them. So that's like my main thing why I'm putting a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
Other than that, since I recently got NSO expansion pack because I got the Switch 2. I haven't turned on my Switch 2 yet, but I got an expansion pack for when I eventually turn on my Switch 2. And so I played through Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion again, and then I started Paper Mario on that.
Nice. I'm a huge Zero Mission fan, so I'm sure you and I will get a chance to talk Metroid soon.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny because like I played those games as a kid, and I remember them taking a while, and then it's like this go through. I'm like, wow, those are a lot shorter. Now that I know, because it was like my total completion time was like 2 hours or something. I was like,
oh yeah, especially Zero Mission. Zero Mission is real short. Yeah. But yeah, no, I completely agree. That's cool. I didn't know you got the Switch too. So we'll have to run some games of Mario Kart or something when you and yes, yeah, you too, Rhina. Sorry.
Set it up yet.
No, for sure. That's awesome, man. Anything? With COD, you've talked about the Warzone calling cards before. Because I've been playing COD for, God, like basically my entire life. I don't know what they do with Warzone when the new game comes out, and I'm not sure specifically with Black Ops 7 what's gonna happen either, especially with like what we're hearing with potentially like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 getting removed from COD HQ. I don't know how that's going to affect Warzone. I don't know what Black Ops 7 is going to do to Warzone. Like, it changes every year. Like, every year we think we understand how this all works, and then they, like, do something that messes with like, our understanding. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but that's cool that you're, like, going through and getting everything. I kind of, like, took a bit of a step back from COD after getting Master Prestige and Dark Matter. I still play, but with Black Ops 6, like, my thing with Black Ops 6 is like I like the game, but there's so many like dumb issues and bugs and problems with it that like shouldn't still be there. And Treyarch is usually pretty on top of that stuff. Like Treyarch launches have kind of historically been a little iffy, but usually they like get down and gritty and like patch out a lot of those issues. Like there's still some bugs in Black Ops 6 that have been there since launch. That is just so abnormal. So I'm not really sure what's going on with Black Ops 6, especially because like it was a 4-year developed game, so there's just like little things that kind of piss me off. But I do like Black Ops 6. Like I think that, you know, it's funny because a lot of like COD fans and stuff, they're all turning on it, saying it's like a bad game and stuff. But then like when the next game comes out, when Black Ops 7 comes out, they're gonna be like, oh, we treated Black Ops 6 too harshly. That's how it always goes. But I know I think Black
Yeah,
Ops 6 is good, and this is like your
it's funny
first
you're
like
talking.
real one, like real time jumping in, right?
Right, exactly. And
Yeah,
that's the other thing is like this is the I told myself this is the one year I'm gonna get really into Call of Duty. But then like they're talking about Black Ops 7 and it's how it's like Black Ops 2 or whatever. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, so that's the good one. I should have made this next year the year where I get into Call of Duty instead of this one. So we'll see how
yeah,
into Black Ops 7 I get because it has taken away a lot of time from other games.
yeah.
Um
That's what COD does,
'Cause-
man. That's why I
yeah.
do what I do, and that's why I like traditional prestige, is because how I play COD is I go crazy for 3 months, and then I'm free to play all my other games. You know what I mean? So like I go in, I put in like 500 hours in 4 to 5 weeks. I max prestige, I get the mastery camo, and then I'm like, cool. Now I can just play for fun at my leisure. I don't have to treat this like a full time job anymore. But like that's actually the reason that they took away prestige back in the day, was because they wanted us to have to come back to get the new things every season. So I wonder if they're gonna remove prestiging again. Like that's one thing I'm like kind of worried about. Because I don't know what the player numbers are like. I don't know, like, because now they'll have the data. They'll actually be able to see like, okay, people actually do stop playing more when they hit master prestige or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do, but also it's funny because like, yeah, you mentioned like, oh, like I'm a little, maybe I should have waited to play Black Ops 7. The marketing in COD is ingenious, and everybody, even COD haters, always gets trapped up in it and caught up in it. Even myself, um, I'm not immune to propaganda, man. I'm telling you, like, yeah, I'm already feeling the Black Ops 7 hype, and I don't, I don't even know why. I don't like futuristic games, and so it's just like I don't know, but it's all every year, man. There's something special about a COD launch. There just
Yeah.
is. So you'll be able to play it on Game Pass. So even if you don't feel the hype, like at least you'll be able to still play.
Well, you know what's ironic? I'm telling myself, oh yeah, I'm playing it because it's on Game Pass is the only reason I'm playing it. But I'm like, I'm still buying every Black Cell, so I'm honestly I could have
Yeah,
just bought the game at this point. But
yeah,
like mentally, I was like, oh, I don't even have to buy the game. But meanwhile, I'm like literally every season, I'm like spending $30 on Black Cell. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this?
yeah.
It's just
It-
because I'm like committed. I'm just
you're in
into
it.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
if not now, then never. You know.
And there's
So,
and there's nothing wrong with that, first of all, but it's really funny because like, you and I've talked about it a little bit, but with this being your first like real time just jumping feet first into Call of Duty, it's interesting to see like you're just like me, you're just like how I was. It's funny, you're like a little
yeah.
mini Damien, um when how I was with like some of the older games, and it's fun, like the discussions we have on it are really, it takes me back to a different time.
Yeah.
um, but that's awesome, man. That's awesome. What about you though, Rena? Sorry to just leave you in the dark for 8 minutes, but what have you been playing, man?
So I finally finished Yakuza Zero Director's Cut, which I talked about in last
You
episode.
did, you did.
I think it's a great game. It's not worth the full price because the director's content really doesn't add much, but still, it was a worthwhile experience. And then I've been replaying The Last of Us Part 2 recently, which I've also been really enjoying. It's a good game. Y'all should go play it. And actually, as we're recording this episode right now, I'm currently on my Steam Deck playing One Piece Grand Adventure.
Nice. How is that? I think I own that somewhere.
It's a great game. I just have to play muted because it's the awful 4 Kids dub, which
Ooh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so it's just a game. I just put some music on and just vibe to while beating the crap out of people.
Rena,
It's a great experience.
you know what game I had to play muted?
What game?
This is gonna piss some people off, but Dragon Quest 11. I had to play that shit with the sound off because I think Dragon Quest music is like unlistenable.
Even like the main theme, like even like
I mean, it's fine. Like that's like the one thing that I think is like fine, but even that, it's like so overplayed. But yeah, no, I've said this for a long time. I'm a very unfortunate Dragon Quest OST hater. Especially because like I played Dragon Quest 11 on the PS4. I played it in Japanese when I imported it back in the day, or not imported, but I have a Japanese PSN account, so I just played it there. But yeah, so I played it in like Japanese with like the MIDI soundtrack on PS4, and I was like, yeah, it was so grating. I had to play it the rest of the game with the sound off. Um, but I love Dragon Quest 11. It's a great game. I just not a big fan of Dragon Quest music. But
Yeah, I've
yeah.
actually never played a Dragon Quest game before, so
Wait,
I really
really?
can't say. No,
I feel like you'd like Dragon Quest actually.
maybe, but it's just not a game series I have much interest in.
I mean, that's fair. It's very just like traditional RPG, you know, like JRPG tropes kind of started with Dragon Quest. So I don't know how you feel about like old school JRPGs and whatnot, but if you like a pure form RPG, it doesn't get much purer than Dragon Quest. And
What
they
I'll say
like,
is one game interested in playing is Ride to Hell Retribution. I've heard nothing but great things about that game.
yeah, yeah, nothing but great things about Red to Hell. That's a phenomenal game. Um, Geez, I haven't thought about that game in years. What are you doing to me?
I am
That's
currently trying to hook your audience on Peak.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta. Everyone's got to play. It's peak. Exactly. What else is there to say? I
Oh, I played Peak
on
recently. That's
what
another thing I
what you
played.
play?
Peak.
Oh, the actual game called
No.
Peak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the friend swap game on Steam.
Is it
That
good?
reminded me.
I've heard people say it's good, but I haven't actually like seen any gameplay yet. It's like it's a climbing game, right? Like it's like a co-op.
Yeah, it's like a climbing survival type game. Like think of like the Breath of the Wild climbing system,
Okay.
stamina system, but like a game. It's friend swap. It's honestly as fun as your friend group playing it with.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's completely valid. I think that's like the funniest new dumb like zoomer term we've created is friend slop, but it's
But it's
like
so true because
so
like these
true.
games are like spreading. Like the new one pops up like every month. It
It's
feels like
crazy.
of just like yeah.
I on the other hand, I've been playing this stack of games over here. If you guys follow my TikTok or see my socials, you'll see that I just bought a bunch of Switch games because I have the Switch too, so I've just been trying to kind of catch up on games that I missed from Switch One. You know, I kind of fell off the Switch after a couple years, so you know I got some cool stuff. I finally got Tears of the Kingdom because that has a Switch Two version. I got Fire Emblem Engage, and you know some other games, you know, Pokemon, Splatoon 3, just kind of stuff that I'm basically just treating like they're new games because they have upgrades or patches on Switch 2. And I've been having a good time. So that's mostly what I've been doing. I've also Delta Force. They announced that they're coming to console in August, so I decided to hop back into that, and I accidentally played 17 uninterrupted hours yesterday. So I like Delta Force, but yeah. Once that comes to console, I'm gonna be forcing all of my friends to play it with me. So that'll be a good time. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I've been doing too. So just Switch 2 stuff. I played a bunch of Mario Kart, so now I'm kind of sick of it. But I will still play with you, Rhina. You just name the time and place. Hopefully,
I told you I'm free any day. He just
I
ignores
know.
me.
I don't ignore you. Just other stuff comes up, and then we spent all day watching Naruto. So like, we could have played Mario Kart. That was your fault. You decided to watch Naruto with me instead of playing Mario Kart. You could have said it
Honestly, I would have
anytime.
done anything but watch Naruto.
Okay, but alas, that's pretty much the end of the fun casual conversation because now it's time to get real. Actually, no. Before we get crazy, let's talk about the one kind of good, interesting thing that's happened this week, which is Helldivers 2 finally coming to Xbox. Thoughts? I will open it up to you guys. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll let our new guest go first.
Go for it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that honestly is so random, especially because like literally the day before everything else happened, and then I just like see in my YouTube feed like what the hell like
Yeah,
it's just so random.
very.
And I don't I don't know what to think of it. Like, I don't think there's any indication of like a trend. It, I don't think Sony's made any like statements about it. I think they just like literally they're not giving any attention to it. They're just like, here's the trailer. It
Yeah,
comes out the same day as Gears Reloaded.
which that's
Um,
also weird. That's such a weird date.
yeah,
I don't, you
I
know, you could
mean, they're
choose
like,
when
hey, you
games
gave
come
us
out.
Gears, we'll give you Helldivers, I guess. I don't know, tit for
Like,
tat.
yeah, you can choose when games come out. So I don't know why so many people choose to release games on the same day, especially games that are going to be competing with each other for attention. Like, I don't know. Yeah, just
And
kind
does
of.
it
Maybe
draw
that's
interest
the
to them?
idea. Maybe they want to send a message by having more people on Helldivers than Gears of War.
Well, okay? Like, do you think that's actually going to happen? I don't think there's any way in hell that Helldivers 2 on Xbox does better than Gears on PlayStation.
Oh no, but I think Helldivers 2 on Xbox does better than Gears on Xbox because that's like a
Actually,
remake of a
actually, that's
remake
true.
of an old game.
That's
Even
actually
if
a good
Gears is
point.
on Game Pass and free, I feel like I'm not prioritizing that game right now, mainly because I'm still playing Call of Duty. But I'm
Yeah.
not like the Helldivers is a newer game, although it's an older, newer game, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure how to feel about this either. You know, what I will say, one interesting point is that Nixis, you know, obviously we've known them. They're like the big Sony PC port people, and they've done a lot of really great work porting games to PC and have made a lot of like moves in that direction. But Nixis are behind this Xbox port. So that is actually bringing up some other questions, right? Like now Nixis is making Xbox ports. I think that's like my only bit of like evidence to suggest that there might be more games coming than just this is because if Nixis is doing this, this wasn't like an in-house thing. This was like you know Nixis going out of their way to port someone else's game. It seems
oh
like
right,
if this wasn't something we were going to see more of, why didn't Arrowhead do this in-house? You know what I mean?
yeah, I feel like Nixis learned, like they learned. I don't know anything about developers, but they
Yeah.
learned to port to Xbox. I feel like it would be not that it's that simple, but I also feel like
Yeah.
if you're gonna learn to port games to Xbox, you wouldn't just do one because I don't think they didn't do it the MLB ports, right? That was just San Diego. Like
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
it
That's
themselves or
that.
no?
Those all every other so any other game that's come from PlayStation 2, Xbox, which isn't many of them, but any other game that has had that happen, it's always been in house. And then even the other games, right? Like you think of other PlayStation ports, like Lego Horizon, that on Nintendo, right? That wasn't done on Xbox, but that came to Nintendo. That was also an in-house port. Or you think of like I don't know, just like whatever other games. Like never before has it been from Nixis, so it's just kind of interesting that they had a whole studio take time out of their schedule to port this instead of doing it in house. This is also one of the only times that PlayStation is directly publishing, so it's not like you know like with other games like Death Stranding
Like
one,
Death
right?
Stranding.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Death Stranding, Kojima, they published that, they self-published that on
Well, I
Xbox.
think wait, was it not? What's that other? No, shoot, what's what was the publisher of Control? Was it not the same? Was it not same
Oh,
the same
yes, I'm
publisher of
so
the PC
sorry.
version?
You're right. Yes, yes, it wasn't self-published, but
Was it?
it was them who did that. A
I'm
505,
forgetting
right?
their name. 505. Yes,
Yeah.
that guy.
So
Yeah.
so my point being though is that it wasn't directly PlayStation Studios publishing, but this
Right.
time excuse me, Helldivers, it is. And so that has me questioning. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some Sony insider or anything. In my head, what I think is like maybe they're just going to be more loose with their multiplayer games. You know, they're already doing day and date on PC, so maybe they're more open, or maybe it's just because of the absolute uproar that the Xbox community had in support of Helldivers 2. You know, there's a very big social media campaign to get that game on Xbox. Um, so maybe that's why. I mean, there has been no statement, no mention of anything. We can do is speculate. We don't know what this means. I will say though, I'm not complaining. I think it's actually a good fit. I think it's a good fit, and I'm not mad about it, right? Like obviously, I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist when it comes to this stuff. I do value exclusivity, I value individuality and things like that when it comes to especially console gaming. So, the traditionalist in me is not happy about losing an exclusive, but obviously it's just only a good thing for the game. It's only a good thing for the fans. It's only a good thing for Xbox guys. You know, I'm not going to complain about a game, especially a game that I like, right, being played by more people. So that's my general mindset of it. I think it's just more interesting to look at, like, what does this mean, right? You know, because like we talk a lot about, like, you know, the changing tides and redrawing the battle lines, right? But you know, Sony and Nintendo, they've been kind of keeping it old school, and so a move like this is just a little weird, and it came out of nowhere, which is what shocked most people. It's just that how random, you know, just a random tweet on a what Friday, Friday or whatever day that was, just randomly tweeted that it's like, oh yeah, this game's just coming out, so cool, you know.
I wonder. I wonder if Marathon has anything to do with it, because that's getting pushed out of its launch window. It's probably not releasing this year at all.
Yeah, probably
Um,
not. I doubt it.
and then obviously there's always going to be multi-platform, but that's just Bungie
Yeah, probably
keeping
exactly.
their promise to stay multi-platform. So I'm wondering if like somewhere along the lines they're like, well, if Bungie games can go to Xbox, why can't we just like bring, like, why not Helldivers? Why not this other stuff? Maybe just for like the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah,
Or maybe it's because it's not owned by Sony, the studio, and maybe like I don't know,
maybe.
maybe Stellar Blade could come to Xbox, because I think there's rumors of a Switch 2 port for Stellar Blade.
But then that that
So I
that
don't know.
brings me back to my original question, though, is if that's the case, if this is Arrowhead, right? If Arrowhead just really wanted to port this over, why is Sony publishing it? You know, if they say, hey, Sony or PlayStation or whoever, right? We want this game on Xbox. It's our IP. You should let us do it. In my head, I'd be thinking Sony would be saying, sure, but like we're not going to touch it. Like you go ahead and do it on your own. You know, I wouldn't think that they would just publish it themselves. So maybe this is indicating that they are going to be looser with their multiplayer games. I mean, Marathon was already announced as a multiplat, but the excuse was always that that was just part of the Bungie contract. But maybe we see things like Fair Games or, you know, any of the other surviving live service games that they're working on. Maybe we see that stuff pop over on Xbox.
Maybe
I don't know.
Concord would not have died if it came to
You
Xbox.
are right. Maybe it wouldn't have died. That game would have had a chance.
I actually have a different opinion on the Helldivers 2.
And what is your opinion?
I feel like if it was ready to show, they would have shown it at the Xbox Game Showcase. I feel like that's an announcement they purposely saved to try and ease some of the blowback they're getting currently for their latest decisions.
Well, the thing with that though is that Xbox didn't make the announcement. So like even if they wanted to, which yeah, that maybe they wanted to, but even if they wanted to, like Xbox doesn't have a choice when other people announce their games. You know what I mean?
All right, that's fair, but
Especially because this is directly being published by PlayStation, and they're the ones who announced it. Like it wasn't announced on Xbox channels or Xbox social media. Like
I mean, it was
Arrowhead.
announced. I saw the trailer on the Xbox channel, but like that's
Yeah, but
just
that's not like the initial source. You know what I mean? Like this wasn't like,
yeah.
oh yeah, like like okay, like say for example, Persona 4 uh, Revival or whatever that game is called. Like that was announced at an Xbox show, so Xbox controlled that announcement, right? It wasn't the case. This was just a general, like, Sony did their marketing for it. They pushed out their tweets, they put their video on their channels, they pushed it out to IGN and all these other normal places. And part of that is, yeah, Xbox also revealed the trailer. Xbox social media and Arrowhead social media and Sony social media, everybody released it at basically the same time. So I don't think this was a coordinated effort to try to dim blowback from the thing we're going to talk about in a minute here. But that's an interesting thing. I've heard people say that. I've heard some people speculate that. So I don't think
it's
that's
just the timing is
more than anything.
yeah.
The timing is just way too coincidental to where I get what you're saying, but I still personally believe it was their way of trying to minimize the blowback. Like, oh, we just lost all this talent, but here, Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox.
Maybe. I think it's a little bit of a long shot, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, these things are a lot of the marketing is it's very bureaucratic, and it's very, it's treated
Because
politically, like they try to save face where they can, but bad news is going to
like
happen. So
Xbox announced that this whole thing was happening a week in advance. Like, I feel like if they didn't announce it a week in advance, there might be more credibility that it isn't coordinated. But with it being announced a week in advance, I really do believe it was coordinated.
maybe. Also, I'm so sorry in advance if you guys hear any popping in the background. We made the decision to record this on the 4th of July, so there's fireworks and stuff going on. I hope my mic doesn't pick up too much of it, but I see myself popping green every once in a while, which means you're probably hearing some of these flashes, so I apologize if it's annoying.
I vote against the idea.
Okay. This is the only day we're free, okay? Relax. Well, okay, so back on topic, I do think that kind of segues us into the main topic of today's show. So yeah, Xbox has had a hell of a week. I guess we should just open up by talking about just jump in with the layoffs, man. I know that it wasn't all at Xbox, so I'm not trying to put this all on the Xbox brand specifically, but over 9,000 people were laid off across all of Microsoft's divisions, multiple studio closures, multiple game cancellations. It was rough. People I know lost their jobs, and that really sucked, to have to like log on to see posts from people I've talked to or people I'm acquainted with talking about like there was no warning, I just woke up and didn't have a job. And I know this stuff has been happening a lot in the gaming industry in general, but this is like what, the fourth consecutive quarter that Microsoft has had layoffs or something. It's ridiculous, especially because of the reason why. But I think we should just kind of take this one piece at a time, because this situation, it sucks. It just sucks.
Very unfortunate times.
Yeah.
And also just anytime anything like this happens, and it's so annoying to me, and small tangent, everyone's always like, oh, remember when Iwata took a pay cut? Like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and that's also not the point.
The same thing.
It's not the same. Because that like, wouldn't help. You know what I mean? Like if Phil Spencer or whoever, a Sarah Bond or what, like any of them,
I don't know.
Any of them taking a pay cut, like that's not why these jobs were ultimately why they were cut. Ultimately, a lot of it has to do with AI, which, oh my god, I'm gonna crash out.
Well, that's a whole different.
It's a whole. It's part of. I mean, it's part of it though. I mean, did you see what what's his name? The one dude at Xbox, what he said? Did I show you what he said to people?
There's a live dude at Xbox, to be more specific.
Matt Turnbull, executive producer at Xbox Game Studios Publishing. After everything happened with all the layoffs and the 9,000 plus people lost their job at Microsoft, he posted on LinkedIn, and of course it was LinkedIn because all these people, all these like AI bros and whatever, they're like so LinkedIn pilled. But he posted on LinkedIn, he's all like, I've been experimenting with ways to like deal with stress, and like, oh my gosh, if you guys are feeling like you're not alone, you can talk to Microsoft Copilot AI to get like to have them like help you through this difficult time. Shut up. Like, just shut up. Obviously he got bullied off the internet, rightfully so, but like how out of touch do you have to be like, oh yeah, 9,000 people just lost their jobs, I'm gonna tell them to talk to ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot, which also, who the hell uses Copilot anyways? I'm gonna talk to them to get them to use Copilot to like make them feel better, have someone to talk to. Like, it's so dystopian, man. Like I was seeing red when I saw that. It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry for everything you're feeling. Talk to the thing that is replacing you.
Yeah, and especially because like, yeah, Microsoft just spent $80 billion on AI and investing in AI, and they plan to spend more. Like a lot of it is speculated that's kind of a lot of the reasons this is happening is because they're pivoting so much. Like the games industry, yes, a lot is changing there, but also Xbox specifically, obviously this applies to a lot of other things, and Microsoft is more than just Xbox, but we're a gaming show, so we're going to kind of talk about the gaming side of it. But Xbox they're doing this thing right now where they're kind of trying to, redefine what success is. And honestly, it's not dumb. Like, I give my opinions on what I think about Xbox's current plans. It's not stupid, and it's clearly working. They're making more money. I think it's a little self-destructive in the long run. I do think this is going to result in is just the complete disillusion of what an Xbox is, and the Xbox brand turning into just Microsoft gaming and just going full third-party publishing, potentially just releasing PC boxes that have Xbox logos on them instead of new consoles and stuff. And as a traditional console gamer, I mean, I have a PC too, and I play a lot on PC, and I technically main PC. I grew up on consoles. I have a lot of respect for consoles and physical gaming and retro gaming and stuff. So this stuff matters to me. And to kind of see their direction with that, like, I don't believe there's a future for Xbox in the traditional console space. I don't think there's a future in the self-published exclusivity space. I think they're just going to go all in on AI, Game Pass specifically, and third-party publishing. And I think that's what they're doing. I don't think it's stupid. Clearly, they're going to make some money, but it is going to be disappointing to people like me who feel the way I feel, very traditional about this sort of stuff. And I think this is just evidence of that. Like, they're getting rid of teams they don't need anymore. They bought Bethesda, they bought Activision, Blizzard, King, whatever, right? They bought these huge publishers. So I think their attitude, first of all, is just their attitude on game publishing is already changing, right? Because COD and World of Warcraft and Overwatch and Candy Crush, like, they make so much money from these live service already pre-existing projects that they can focus on those. And Microsoft of 5-10 years ago, they could greenlight something like State of Decay 3, and it can take a little while to make, and then they could say, yeah, well, like, but it's still, like, it's a game. It might not be like a trillion seller, but it's still a game. It'll still do kind of well. They'll do decently, maybe get some attention, maybe be good for Game Pass, right? Like, they could kind of have these concessions and have these conversations. I don't think that Microsoft exists anymore. I don't think the Microsoft that can say, oh yeah, it's okay, you guys can take 7 years to make this game that will sell maybe 1 million copies total. Like, that's fine. I think that Microsoft is gone. I think now they have, Doom and all these successful franchises, and they're making Call of Duty money. I think now,
Sorry,
especially...
Hold on. Why you
Yeah?
said... Why was Doom the one? You said Doom...
Because Doom is successful, man. Doom... Okay,
that
are
was
you...
like, that was
are
the
you
first
saying...
thing that comes to mind when you think of, like...
Are you
okay,
saying...
now that they got Doom...
Are you saying
like,
State of Decay is bigger than Doom?
No, I'm saying that, like... I don't think...
Yeah, maybe Doom...
It was
Yeah.
like, oh, we got Doom now. I think it was like, oh, we got Call of Duty
Yeah,
now.
obviously, like the bigger
like,
ones. I was using that as an example,
I
though, of like successful games.
I'm sorry. I was just like, oh.
No, that's fine.
Especially
That's
'cause
fine.
the newest Doom also supposedly underperformed,
But it
based on
had millions of players. I mean, okay, yeah. Well, they said the same thing about Hi-Fi Rush. Sorry, Rhina, but I don't think. I mean, Doom is still Doom, right? I was just using that as an example of like a new IP they own.
I get you.
So,
I get you.
Something they can focus
It's not
on
the first
instead.
thing I would have named, but yeah.
All right, my bad. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Scratch that. They've got COD now. They don't need to spend that much time and money making these other games. Like, I just don't think they're gonna. I think State of Decay 3 is the next one to get canceled. I'm calling it right now. I think State of Decay 3 is done.
I'm surprised it wasn't.
I'm surprised it wasn't too. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, Perfect Dark had gameplay, and it was a vertical slice, but it was still actual gameplay. It wasn't like a Killzone 2 thing. It was gameplay of something.
And I did see that. Yeah, at first there were some reports that were going around saying that the Perfect Dark gameplay we saw was like faked or whatever. But then one of the actual developers said like, hey, like, no, it was real. I mean, obviously it was a slice, right? So it was, specifically just this chunk. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a fully built thing.
Like if you go outside the walls, it's gonna probably
Yeah.
break. But yeah.
But it wasn't a Halo 2 situation or a Killzone 2 situation or a Watch Dogs situation. It was actually real. So that's a little bit better. But actually, no, that's not better. It's worse because it means that the game was further along in development than than something like State of Decay 3 that we haven't even seen. So like I don't know. To kind of recap, just because sorry, I'm a little all over the place. I'm emotional. But to recap, yeah, Perfect Dark, the reboot got canceled, which that hurt me. I'm a big Perfect Dark fan, specifically Zero. We'll talk about that later. The ZeniMax MMO. Oh yeah, the initiative in general, they're just completely
like
gone.
They're not a studio anymore. One of the only teams that Microsoft created when they announced, hey, we're gonna take first party game development series. That was like the only one that they said they were building, and now it's dying without having produced anything.
7 years of development thrown down the drain.
Yeah.
So yeah, the initiative is gone. Perfect Dark is canceled. Everwild from Rare, that is also canceled. And I think there was some layoffs at Rare as well, but not the whole studio. So the studio's fine.
Well,
they're
Greg
still
Mayles,
working on.
He left. He
Yes.
left. He wasn't a layoff, but he just like.
Yeah, him and one other big producer that was there for like 35 years. They'd left, but I believe there were some layoffs too at Rare, and then because of that and because of the cancellation at Everwild, I think those two decided to leave, which is I can't blame them. But still so unfortunate. Whenever you see legacy studio or legacy talent leaving a studio, it's like, man, that's like they're taking part of the soul with them, And like I'm not a Sea of Thieves fan, but like apparently like he was a big instrumental person behind that game as well.
Well, he was the guy. Like, okay, sorry, side tangent.
Yeah,
people gave shit for Microsoft for owning Rare and like, oh, not making a new Banjo, not making a new blah, blah. But it's like he was the guy who was like, no, I want to be doing new things. I don't want to keep coasting off of our old games that we made. Like he was the one who's like, no, I don't want to just make the same shit we did before. So like that was him. He was the one who like insisted on doing new and trying new things at Microsoft, and people were like, oh, Microsoft doesn't care. It's like, no, they're giving the team the freedom to do what they want to do, and it just turns out they don't want to keep making old shit again. So maybe now that he's gone, they're going to start making old shit again.
I mean, there's already that rumor that you posted about maybe them doing Banjo now, which maybe, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, but I would love a new Banjo. I like Banjo. It's just, so that's Rare. The new ZeniMax MMO got canceled, which that was super weird because recently Phil Spencer like was talking about how like, oh, he was there at ZeniMax or at the studio making the game, and he was playing their new game, and he literally had to be like forcibly pulled away from it to go to a meeting, but he wanted to stay and play. It was so good. So for like a couple months later, for the whole game to just get shut down, like that's super weird. Layoffs at ZeniMax as well. It
doesn't hurt as much because that was also like unannounced, and like I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
unannounced games get canceled all the time. So
it wasn't publicly announced, but it was talked about. Like the game was like common knowledge to the point where like we knew it was a thing. We just didn't have
that,
like info.
Odyssey game from Blizzard or whatever.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, turn 10. Turn 10 got cut in half, and the entire Forza Motorsport series was canceled. I have words to say about this because Forza Motorsport 4 is one of my favorite racing games of all time. It's so good, and like, yes, 5, 6, 7, and the reboot were not as good, and especially the new game, I've only heard bad things about it. But everything else, like, they weren't as good, but they were still successful. They still sold well. They reviewed well. And I don't think that one mediocre game should kill a legacy studio. One of your pillars, one of your 3 pillars. Xbox is Halo, Gears, and Forza. You don't just kill Xbox, a pillar.
Forza Horizon.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously that's the implication here, right? Is that they're just going all in on Horizon, but Motorsport and Horizon were part of a grander series. It wasn't just Forza Motorsport. It wasn't just Forza Horizon. They existed. They complemented each other, and the development that Turn 10 did on Forza Motorsport directly impacted the work that Playground did on Horizon, and vice versa. Like the tech that they would make, the changes to the cars that they would do, like it was all in tandem with each other. It was kind of like Infinity Ward and Treyarch making Call of Duty. Like they were a symbiotic relationship. They co-worked this, and so to see one half of that just disappear, honestly, I haven't been this upset at a studio closure from Microsoft since Lionhead. Um, like yeah, like the Hi-Fi Rush situation, that was awful, but like Lionhead got under my skin, and this makes me feel that same way. Um, so that was a lot. That was a big pill to swallow too, because I had to just basically I have to accept now that like the Motorsport series is gone, and that really hurts as a big fan of it. You know, like I have Gran
Yeah.
Turismo, I have Need for Speed. Kind of honestly, Need for Speed hasn't been great for a while either, but yeah, like I like racing games, and I've always said that like Motorsport is up there with the greats. Like I would say Motorsport 4 is about on par with like Gran Turismo 2. I think like they're that similar in quality. Um and it just yeah, so that one like personally hurt me. That and Perfect Dark obviously, but it just yeah, it's so much happened, and it sucks, but I think with all that being said, you look at it from a grand picture sort of thing. I think what I said about how I think they're just the attitudes change now, now that they have these publishing studios or publishing companies, Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda. Like I don't think they're gonna be able to take those chances on those smaller games or be able to just bleed money, working on these games that are in development hell. Like I think they're just gonna start gutting them.
Unfortunately, I think the Xbox we all used to love back in 360 days is dead. I think
Yeah.
Xbox right now is horribly mismanaged. And I think part of the reason that is because Microsoft went all in trying to buy Activision Blizzard because they were so unpopular. They thought if they bought that studio, more people would come to them, and that's not how it worked. And now they're feeling the effects of that, so they got to try and make their money back somehow while they're trying to invest trillions in the AI.
And I have my thoughts about that because I do think very strongly, in fact, you said that, they bought Activision and Bethesda to like make them more popular and like, oh, the people didn't come. Well, they didn't really give that a chance. Like, I think wholeheartedly
Yeah.
that if Xbox did what they did and then decided to just go all in, make Call of Duty exclusive, make Overwatch 2, or I guess that was already out at the time, but like, make whatever new things coming out, just go all in on exclusivity. People would have bought Xboxes. Do you know how many people bought Xboxes, or excuse me, bought PlayStations when PlayStation got the maps for Call of Duty earlier? Like that was just for maps and the competitive scene. Now imagine how much it would be if it was the only place you could play. That and PC, obviously. Like that would have been crazy. And I know, the obvious response is okay, but like the Activision Blizzard buyout was like heavily regulated, and there was so many eyes on that merger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like yeah, sure. But I think, even if not Call of Duty, everything else, Doom, Indiana Jones, like every other like successful game they've had, like Xbox went, honestly, and I hate to say this, they went like 7 years without a good game, and then now they're starting to release games, and they've been for I'd say a good couple years now. Like they had
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2, that was a big success in 2021, 2022, whenever that came out. And they've been really good. Like they've been releasing a lot of games.
They technically released Deathloop exclusively on PlayStation.
Yes. Yeah, and Deathloop was great. But like they've kind of got that mojo back, and at the very least, if nothing else, even if you don't care for what they're putting out, they're finally back to releasing games at a steady pace. Um,
True,
you
but at
know,
the same time is
but they're
with
not
their standard.
exclusive, and they should
Yeah.
be.
Oh,
People would have bought an Xbox. My mom, she's the biggest Indiana Jones fan I know. When the Indiana Jones game got announced, she told me, well, I gotta buy an Xbox now. And me and her started planning to get her an Xbox around the time that the game came out. And you know what happened? A month or so before that game came out, Jeff Keighley got up on stage and announced the PS5 port. And she said, oh, never mind. There's people like that. For every franchise you own, there are people who make their decisions based on this stuff. That could have impacted so much. She could have become a Game Pass subscriber. She could have become a loyal Xbox fan moving forward. She could have found out that she really likes their ecosystem and could have enjoyed all these things. But now she will never do that because she has no reason to. You can't just have a subscription service and go all in on that and say, yes, this is our plan now. We're going to release games everywhere, because the people who aren't already invested in your ecosystem, they're not going to move over. And then all that's going to do is like, yeah, you're going to make some money by those people buying your games on PlayStation. Like my mom spent $100 on Indiana Jones and 30% of that went to Xbox. So good for them. They got $70 out of my mom, but they could have gotten, 500. Yeah, it sold 70% of $100, right? But they could have gotten a $500 console. They could have gotten an online subscription. They could have gotten the game. They could have. There's so many other things.
You mean a
that could have
$600 console?
Yeah, excuse me, $600 console.
I feel like
that's my thoughts on that.
I personally believe that Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, all the top
Aaron
execs,
Greenberg.
Yeah, I think they need
he's
to
just
be
a marketing
fired.
guy. He does not have as much sway as you guys think he does.
I just
Although
don't like Aaron.
annoying.
He's so. I here's the thing. I don't actually hate Phil Spencer. I like Phil Spencer actually, but I feel like I don't think he's got as much power as he used to. I think he's getting some pressure from the higher ups, and there's the rumor of him stepping down after the next box comes out, and I kind of believe it.
I think they're so horribly mismanaged that, truth be told, nothing can save them. Like, I feel like that whenever they get a successful game, if thanks to Game Pass, even if it does well, the studio's still at risk of getting shut down because people are playing the game via Game Pass. I think Game Pass is, while it's a great deal to the consumers, I think it's one of the worst things that ever happened to the gaming industry. Because I'll admit, that's how I first played Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, me too.
I got a Game Pass subscription from CD Keys, but then I liked it so much, I actually went out and bought it. I feel like I'm one of the rare cases. Like, most people would just keep Game Pass and just replay. That means the game doesn't sell well. That means when the shareholders see that, they say, axe the studio, they're not performing.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we don't know, right? Like, we don't know the exact financial inner workings of how Game Pass functions, how it works for third parties, how it works for internal Microsoft releases. We don't have the numbers. We don't work for Microsoft. But I will say it's a shame that we even have to have this conversation when games like Hi-Fi Rush come out to universal acclaim and praise, to awards, high reviews, and a lot of players, and for Xbox to go out and say, oh yes, this game was a massive success by all of our internal metrics, and then for a year later the studio gets shut down and all this drama come from it. Because when that happened, you heard the news, like Arcane Austin, okay, yeah, they made Redfall, yeah, get rid of them. Then the other studio,
Prey before that,
yeah, but
controversial
controversial
they were
opinion.
the main Arcane. At least that's what people told. That's what the narrative I heard. I heard that Arcane Austin was the main Arcane, and then Leon, who made Deathloop, that was like the side team. So why did the main team supposedly get shut down and not it just makes no sense to me.
But even then,
that's what I mean by
yeah. Like Hi-Fi Rush though, it was a critical acclaim. They said it did well by all internal metrics, and they still shut down. So what are the actual requirements here? Like, we make a good game that does well, supposedly, and everyone loves us, and you shut us down, or you make a bad game like Redfall, and you still get shut down. Like, how do you win? How do you beat the system?
I feel like there's no motivation to do any work with Microsoft. Like, I feel like if you sell your studio to Microsoft, you're an idiot, because no matter what, you could release GTA 6 and you'd still be at risk of shutting down.
Yeah.
because that's what this entire week is just justified. My reason is I feel like I feel justified in selling my Xbox is I just can't support that company anymore because it seems like no matter what these talented developers do, they're screwed. Like no matter what, they are going to get shut down.
There's somebody that I know
But then that's
who,
gonna be like self-fulfilling.
yeah, and that's ultimately what it is, right? But there's somebody that I know who, when 343 went through their whole rebrand to become Halo Studios, and they were like, hey, like we're hiring, like come join the team and help us work on the next generation of Halo. I know somebody who got a job at Halo Studios, and they just got let go. And it's like, well, then why the hell did you start hiring? You know what I mean? Like, what was the point of this? Why did any of this happen? Why did there's so many things that like I don't get, because yes,
And
it's self defeating, because now all these people, like it's just such bad PR. Every quarter they're letting more people go, and like yes, every industry is doing similar things, and yes, other gaming publishers and gaming brands are also doing very similar things, but not to this level. It is not every quarter. It is not this many people. It is just it's not to this severity. And so like I'm not defending anyone else right now, especially not Ubisoft, especially not, you know, like EA or anyone
Fizz,
else
what
who's
about
doing this.
Nintendo?
But
Remember when Iwata took a pay cut?
remember, I remember
see, at least
that's
that kept employee morale because that showed
oh,
they actually do care about their employees.
It's
Yes.
illegal to lay people off in Japan, though. They can't. That's literally they're not. They can't.
yes, it was a good thing, and
You have to
yes,
get fired for a reason.
yes, Iwata did a lot of good things for Nintendo, so I'm not disparaging him, but yes, it is a completely different scenario that cannot be compared here.
Plus, that wouldn't even have helped anyways because
No, it
have you
wouldn't.
seen the internal memo where Phil Spencer admitted that they're more successful than they've ever been, and people
Yeah.
still got shut down.
That's where I was going to go with this, is that this is not just like, okay, yes, we're Xbox, we're in third place, we're losing, we don't have the money, we can't afford to keep you people. This is a huge, huge company that is backed by one of the richest companies on earth, that just had one of their most profitable quarters ever. That is the company we're talking about today. That is the company that just fired an undisclosed amount of people well into the thousands and closed down multiple studios and canceled multiple games. That is the studio, the one who just is doing the best they've ever done. Them.
I feel like it's all the people they're firing are the people who they believe their jobs can be replaced with AI.
I mean, they're spending $80 billion on it. They clearly they're investing in it. When you have somebody on your executive team recommending people use your Microsoft AI product to come up with coping skills for losing your job, you know you're A, beyond cooked, but also B, just so out of touch. And
It's not.
I think that's why Phil's leaving. I don't think he's retiring like Jim Ryan. I think what's happening is I think he did his work, and I think I'm putting words in his mouth, so I'm sorry. Phil, if you watch this, I apologize. But I feel like he just isn't happy with this direction. I can't see how he would. He's like me, dude. Phil's a total traditionalist. But I don't think this is coming from him. I think this is coming from above him, and I think he doesn't have as much power as we think he does to like make these actual decisions and actually manage this stuff. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's the feeling I have. I don't know how accurate that is.
Personally, I know everyone uses Microsoft products in their daily life. Like it's just
Yeah.
unavoidable.
For
But I think
work,
it's gotten to
mostly.
the point where if you buy an Xbox product, knowing they're going all in on AI, the games are going to be AI generated, I just lose respect for you instantly. Like,
Damn.
And I
You
don't
just-
want to take it that far, because I don't want to tell people, especially when it comes to entertainment products that are already, you know what I mean? Like this is already such a non-serious issue for the consumer side, right? Like I don't want to tell someone what to do with their own money, and I'm never gonna tell you that you're right or wrong for buying something.
Oh yeah,
No,
I'm not trying to tell
no
people.
ethical consumption under capitalism or whatever.
Yeah,
But
there's
you know,
no exactly. There's no ethical
you
consumption
know.
under capitalism. We
But
can
Yeah,
always
yeah,
throw stones, and
what I will say though, my actual take on this is like for myself, because I can only speak for me, is I'm definitely not buying any more Xboxes. Anymore, and I haven't really felt connected to the Xbox brand in a while. And I have my issues with them going as far back as 2011, but like it's it's just been getting worse, and I feel like this has all just been piling on one thing after another, one thing after another. And like, yeah, like I'm looking forward to Gears on PlayStation, and I am looking forward to, I'm looking forward to the Tony Hawk, you know, uh, three plus
dig Heaven
four.
4.
Um, but like, it feels so bad to like even care about this stuff anymore, and it's just like I can't. At the very least, I know like for me, I'm not buying any more Xboxes. I'm not buying the ROG X Ally thing. I'm not buying their next PC release thing that is probably happening that they're gonna call a console for some reason. I have no interest in any of that. I'm not a Game Pass subscriber. I'll pick up their games physically when they release them. If they don't release it physically on PlayStation, I'm probably not buying it. And I'm just not. I'm kind of just stepping away from that. I can't really consider myself like an Xbox fan anymore. Whereas back in the day, I mean, if anyone's been following me on YouTube for my whole career here, like I used to be a diehard Xbox guy. That's just how it was. That's what I grew up on. That's what I was raised on. I live,
same here.
eat, sleep, and breathe Halo, and just
You're
to
working on
see.
the last episode today. I played my first ever game on an original Xbox, so it
Yeah, same.
pains me to
Halo
see.
1 was my first game ever.
Spider-Man, the original movie game was my first game. It
Of
pains
course
me
it
to see
was.
them going down this direction where it's just, if I'm ever going to pick up an Xbox game again, it's going to be used to make sure they don't get a single cent, and it's going to be on literally anything that isn't an Xbox. Like
Yeah. And I don't
I
want to,
cannot.
again, I don't want to tell other people to do. All I can speak of is for myself and my thoughts and stuff, but part of this too, like I'm an emotional guy, so I do get emotional with this kind of stuff, and I know that I can be dramatic, but that's actually part of the reason I wanted to bring you here, Gabe, is just because I know that you are more of an Xbox fan currently, than I am, and you've kind of consistently been with them, as your primary-ish platform, throughout the years and almost decade that I've known you. What are your thoughts about the future of Xbox, and not just like Microsoft gaming? I mean Xbox.
Um, I mean, yeah, it doesn't. It's hard to be optimistic. I will say, like, as much as I agree with you, like, oh yeah, consoles should have exclusives and they should be proud of them. But like, I'm old enough to remember what happened with Rise of the Tomb Raider. Like, it's different when Xbox gets exclusives and when PlayStation gets exclusives. Like, it's an entirely
That's
different
true.
sentiment, for better or worse. Just like exclusives are cool when they're on your platform, and they're not when they're not on your platform. And one platform is so much more vastly popular than the other. So exclusives being on your smaller platform is only going to be an unpopular decision. So like they were kind of in a rock and a hard place from continuing to make exclusives. And it's before it was just like, oh, no more third party exclusives. Now it's just no more exclusives in general, even first party.
Yeah.
So like I've already conceded that. I've already been like, yeah, there's probably not going to be like they can't sell their box of exclusives anymore. That's fine. It's just I'm more so worried about the long term health of the ecosystem. Like uh basically if there's no exclusives to come to your platform and no one wants to join your platform, then developers aren't going to want to make games for your platform. And now me enjoying your platform, I have less games to play on this platform of choice. And I
That's how
don't know what their
PlayStation and their
solution to
games.
that is.
Sorry, what was that, Rena?
Um,
Oh no, I was just making a bad joke saying I thought PlayStation had no games this generation.
Oh, sorry.
Meanwhile, Xbox is out here is like, wait, we got a successful game. We can't let that happen,
Well,
can we?
that's the irony. I would say like far and away, Xbox has had stronger first party presence this generation than PlayStation. I didn't say exclusive presence. I said first party presence. Like,
Honestly,
I would have
I'd
to
fight you
agree.
on that. I'd fight you on that, but only barely. Like I think this generation Xbox has really kicked it into gear and had some genuine bangers. But you know, like let's take the best of their lineup, and I think you take it up against the best of Sony's lineup and the best
I
of
think
Nintendo's
Hi-Fi Rush
lineup.
beats anything PlayStation put out this generation. I
I
know
was
they're
gonna
dead.
say
I
the
know
exact
they're,
same thing.
which
Maybe,
sucks because they're not an Xbox studio anymore. But that
yeah.
was a first party Xbox game.
And you know what?
Personally,
Maybe. I would say I would still say like, actually no. Thinking on it, yeah, no. Hi-Fi Rush is probably
I haven't
number
played
one.
the new Astrobot, but I mean I played Astro's Playroom,
Yeah,
like, and this is more of
Astrobot.
that than
I think Astrobot is the best Sony game this gen. Um, but I also like I think Astrobot's like perfect. So you know,
yeah.
but I think with like this generation, you know, because you have to also look at like the first 2 years of like cross gen stuff. So you have Gran Turismo 7, you've got God of War, you've got
I
Horizon.
think Forza Horizon 5 is better than is at least appeals more to me than Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah,
But
I don't like comparing Horizon and GT just because GT more so compares to motorsport, whereas Horizon is more like a Need for Speed sort of thing. Um,
yeah,
but sure, yeah. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter now. The only place you can play GT and Forza is PlayStation. Um,
right.
but yeah, no. But you look at like the first party releases and stuff. So like, at the very least, what I will give you is that Xbox has been doing great first party. You know, and they're even this year they've got stuff still coming out like Ninja Gaiden 4. That's a crazy good
Yeah,
get. You
and
know,
Outer Worlds 2 for $80, but
yeah, no,
that's not the point. But yeah,
yeah, I don't know about that one.
I just hopefully they can still maintain getting third party developers on board with their platform. I know they just announced FF7 remake,
Yeah,
so hopefully that means the whole trilogy will be there eventually. Maybe Death Stranding 2 is gonna come to Xbox one day. Um, I just I don't know. It's very concerning, and if they actually are going the route of basically a PC ecosystem where you can just buy games from any storefront, then they're going to have to figure out like there's a lot of details in that are
yeah.
unclear,
I
and
think
I
the big
don't.
thing with that, because I do think that's 100% the direction they're going. I think they're easing their fan base into PC now. They already just announced a new handheld console that's not a new it's not new or a console. It is a PC handheld that they're just slapping an Xbox sticker on and calling it theirs. And now we have these Xbox purists who are like, I'm gonna buy that. Well, that's a PC. So I think they're like slowly but surely just kind of getting their fans used to the idea of PC gaming. And I think they're just gonna do what Valve tried to do 10 years ago. I think they're just gonna release home console-ified PCs with the Xbox logo on it. You're going to be able to play your Play Anywhere games. You're going to have Steam. You're going to have, you know, your own custom Xbox OS on there. But it's just going to be a PC. It's going to do all the PC things. It's going to cost PC prices. And I think they're just going to push their Xbox guys to PC. Because I think Microsoft is realizing what everyone else is realizing. PC is the fastest growing space in the gaming industry. And I think that they want to cash in on that now, especially being so tied to PC with literally owning the Windows operating system. Like they want their presence, and they've been working on it slowly but surely over the years. You know, it started in like 2015 or 16 or whatever when they started putting their games on the Windows Store. Then, you know, then it started with the Steam integration and, you know, putting other games on Steam. And then now, like, this full multi platform approach, but then pushing like for the hardware to be more PCified. Like, I think that's what's going to happen. So, like, yes, I'm concerned too. Like, when you're not incentivizing people to come to your platform, what does that do to your platform? And what games, like, we already see a lot of games skipping Xbox for no reason other than the low install base. But
Well, you know, it's
if
ironic. because I'd actually argue Xbox has had better third party support now than like in the past. Like
which is also kind of
Persona,
true. Yeah.
Persona is on Xbox. Uh, Tales of is on Xbox. All these more niche games that were just de facto PlayStation exclusive because that was the only viable platform. They're coming to Xbox, but just like the future of that
Yeah,
is
the
like
future.
still uncertain.
I think their answer to that though is just like, okay, well, if we're a PC, then now we just went from third place to first. You know, like we or last to first. Like if we just sell people PCs and we just try to get them on Game Pass, then we open up, you know, so much more of the ecosystem. So it doesn't matter what hardware we sell. We're just going to completely become software developers that partner with third-party manufacturers to make PCs, PC-based consoles like the Steam machine was 10 years ago, and then they're just going to have, you know, be able to play games on Steam, whatever, but they're just going to hope that you buy their games um, or subscribe to Game Pass. And what worries me, right, is because okay, cool, you have pushed all these people to PC gaming. Well, how do you get them to stay on the Xbox store? I'm not talking about, you know, Game Pass. I'm talking about like how do you get them to buy games on the Xbox store instead of buying on Steam? Because nobody, especially nobody who jumps fully into PC is going to say, "Okay, I'm going to buy all my games on the Uplay store, or I'm going to buy all my games on Origin, or even Epic Games." Like Epic Games tries, but they're still not doing well. You know, like Steam is the number one PC gaming platform. It is basically, for all intents and purposes, it is PC gaming. So to come in now and to like work with them and say like, yeah, like you can buy an Xbox console that works, Xbox console in air quotes, by the way, but you can buy an Xbox console in air quotes that has Steam on it because it's just a PC. Well, then what's to stop somebody from just buying all their games on Steam? Maybe it's somebody who doesn't want Game Pass, so they're just going to buy all their games on Steam. So now, whereas before, you know, GTA 6 comes out and you could have had an install base of whatever million people who all wanted to play GTA 6 and they would have bought your game on the game on Xbox. And sure, the game costs $80, but you get 30% of that because you're Xbox. And so Xbox gets 30% of all that money and they make billions and billions of dollars because that game breaks every single record in the world. Awesome. Versus now, and I know GTA 6 is still launching on Xbox, just I'm using this as an example. It's not necessarily a one-to-one. But now, all those same people just buy GTA 6 on Steam when it comes out, and they have the new Xbox console that runs Steam, and they buy all millions and millions of copies of GTA 6 on Steam. How does Microsoft make any money from that? That's what I want to know. And maybe I shouldn't be thinking too hard about this because who cares about the $1 trillion company's pocketbook? But I just don't understand the logistics of that, and I don't think they're necessarily thinking long term. And I do think the console strategy that's traditionally held for the past 40 years works and shouldn't be abandoned so easily. But I do think they are abandoning it. I think they're moving to PC. They're Trojan horsing people with these new platform releases that aren't really consoles, and they're just going to push everyone over completely until eventually they just don't even release things. It's the PC Microsoft gaming ecosystem, PlayStation and Nintendo, and that's it.
Yeah, I think they're cowards in a way. Like instead of like genuinely trying to compete, it feels like they don't know how to compete, if that makes sense. And it feels like it's obvious on how they can compete, but they don't want to compete that way.
And
Well,
maybe
it's not that obvious, but like I said,
maybe yeah.
They try to do the exclusive thing and they get pushed back. They've tried to compete basically the exact same way PlayStation's competed and they always lose. Like I think like there's no reality where like
That's
like
because their games are coming out unfinished and just
no, I don't
not.
think. I think that's a cop out. I think Xbox is just a less popular brand, and it always will be. I think some people like a multiplayer game can come out, and people will just assume it's PlayStation exclusive, just because they don't even remember Xbox even exists. I think they were always like a lot of people say like, oh yeah, Sony's successful because they first party games. I'm like, I don't think Sony's ever been carried by first party games in any of their console generations. I
Sony's
think
Well,
it's
in
been
the
always
PS4
been
carried
third-party
by
generation.
their
games.
partnerships. Sony has always been carried by their partnerships, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's their strategy. It's how it's always worked. Metal Gear, Spyro, Crash, like those, they don't own any of that. That was all
Final
partner.
Fantasy,
Final Fantasy, yes.
freaking Capcom. Like I don't think any
Yes,
PlayStation
Capcom,
has been carried
Castlevania.
by first party games. I think it's all been third party games. Sometimes third party exclusives, but it's always been third party games. That's why you buy PlayStation consoles.
Yes.
Like
And I agree with that.
I don't know if that's
100%.
a hot take.
Nope, I agree with
But
100%.
I think it's capped to be like, oh well, they're doing successful because they got good games, and like I'm sure that's part of it, but that's not. The PS2 doesn't sell 160 million because of Sly Cooper. Like no one gave a shit about Sly. Like
No, they sold that much because of like GTA and all that stuff that was just quintessential
yeah,
for
GTA,
being a DVD based device back when DVD players were expensive, for just
like
being the
GTA
popular
6
thing.
is going to sell more PS5s than any place than all of Sony's first party games combined. More
Facts.
people are going to buy a PS5 for GTA 6 than they're going to be like, what the is a Astrobot? I'm playing GTA 6.
Every single
they're not going to consider Xbox because the PlayStation's the default. Like
I feel like Xbox is stupid. They should have released an Xbox Series X Pro when GTA 6's like performance gets announced, and make it so if you want to play GTA 6
agree.
at 60 FPS, but the PS5 Pro can't do it, you can play it here on Xbox. Because I can tell you right now, I would actually go out and buy that better Xbox to be able to play GTA 6 at 60 FPS. Like,
yeah, and I think, I mean, here's the thing, and here's the thing is all of us are right. All of us are right, and it's crazy because I wouldn't actually want to be in Phil Spencer's position. You know what I mean? Like, because it's easy to sit back and armchair dev and say like, oh, all you have to do is this. But in reality, I know it's more complicated than that. Because yes, you're not just dealing with the lack of games issue. You're also dealing with marketing, zeitgeist, public opinion, the global economic, concerns.
Right.
You're dealing with like you're dealing with so much. So I understand all the different facets of it. So I think it is a little bit of a cop out to just say like, oh yeah, just do this one thing and it'll fix everything. But at the same time, I do feel like there's always something holding them back, right? Even the 360, which is arguably the best they've ever done, the second half of the 360's life sucked ass. And then that's when PlayStation started getting good again. And then naturally PlayStation passed them because, oh my gosh, yes, when all you're doing is pushing out Connect slop and bad sequels like Gears of War Judgment and not having a good Summer of Arcade in like 3 years, no one's going to care about Xbox anymore. Yes, it was still the default. It was still the 360 is what everyone, at least in the States, associated with gaming at that time. But you saw that changed a little bit. GTA 5 partnered with PlayStation, and that was huge. And then you had, obviously, other games of that caliber, like The Last of Us 1 releasing in that same year. And like you saw that shift at the end, but even before that, like with Connect, and then just all of a sudden just Connect slop was all they were releasing. And no one wanted that. I mean, the Connect was successful monetarily, but like that was when a lot of people were like, what the hell is this? Like
15 years later, you got the Switch 2 camera and Mario Party 3. All right, well.
But like, you know what I mean? So like, there's always something. That's the 360. That's their most successful. Then the Xbox One, we don't need to talk about the Xbox One. We all know what was wrong with that console and that entire generation, so we can skip that. But like, even the Series X.
wasn't.
I don't think we do. I don't think we do know what was wrong.
Okay, well, we're already over time, so I don't want to take up too much time talking about the Xbox One. So let's move on. But the Series X, even like they started out with no games, and that was like the big thing. People made fun of them, like, oh yeah, no games, no games, no games. But then they started buying all the publishers, and then now we're starting to see those games trickle out, and it's been a successful run of games. And in my head, I know, at least in the States, I can't speak for other nations and countries, especially not Japan, but I know in the States, if you just pushed out more of these games and made them exclusive, you would eventually strong arm people into getting a console. And I think that's just what you need to do. Well, what they should have done, not what you need to do now. Obviously, it's not going to work now. But what they should have done then is do that and like, obviously, put more time and more effort into some of these other games, make Halo better, make Gears better, etc. And that's one aspect of it. But just like, yeah, like these games should not be coming out on other platforms. You mentioned Rise of the Tomb Raider earlier, and like, yeah, but that game was only exclusive for like 6 months before it came everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, even then, that was the timed exclusive. That wasn't even like a full legitimate exclusive. I know they got
Yeah, and
flack
people
for
were
it,
so pissed off about it.
but I know they got flack for it. But imagine if Tomb Raider, all the Tomb Raider games, just full Xbox exclusive. That's just what we had to do now. Like that,
They'd be
sure,
pissed
that was
off.
yeah.
They'd still be pissed off.
I'd be pissed off, but you know what I would do? But you know what I would do is I'd be pissed off, and then I'd go to the store and buy an Xbox One.
I also feel like you're ignoring that Sony gets slack whenever their games are exclusive, and yet
They
No,
do. It's not. But no, Rhina.
not-
I will interrupt you
No,
to say it's
dude.
not the same. It's absolutely not the same.
Dude, if Xbox went on stage and said, "Hey guys, we're making a brand new Spider-Man game only on Xbox," not a thing, like that would be just negative headlines. They
And
could not have
you're right.
announced an exclusive Spider-Man game. I know people are
But-
like, "Oh, why didn't they? Oh, Marvel offered the license to Xbox." It's like that would not have worked out in any reality.
I will say
personally
though,
disagree with you is whenever I saw like new PlayStations exclusive skin announced way back when, like I think like when Spider-Man PS4 was announced, all I saw was flack because people on Xbox wanted to play it,
I mean, yeah,
people on PC wanted to play it. So I saw a lot of flack when certain games that weren't like original IPs were getting exclusive to PlayStation.
it's true and it does
Like,
happen. But and I'll even jump in and say like it happened with Final Fantasy because like that's a part of the community that I'm really in, and I talked to a lot of Final Fantasy people, and there was a lot of pushback with that, with specifically Remake and 16 being exclusive at launch. So like I know there is some pushback, but what Gabe is talking about is the absolute like market dominance that PlayStation has, especially here in the West, of like that's the de facto gaming machine. And so for a lot of people, like, yeah, you have, 80 plus million people with PlayStation. So if a game's exclusive, it doesn't impact that many people because they already have a PlayStation. But for Xbox, like what he's saying is, yeah, like if you took Death Stranding 2 and you made it Xbox exclusive, well, now, you're going from an audience of 80 million to 30, I don't know, 30 something million. And so those 80 million people are going to be louder than the 30 who are complaining. So like it's going to be it's disproportional, and it's just because of the way that like Sony has embedded themselves as like over the last 10 or so years as being like the de facto gaming machine for at least the West, because I know overseas it's Nintendo, but being like the de facto serious gaming machine, it would just get more pushback. It would, and he's right.
You want to talk about Final Fantasy? I would say Final Fantasy 13 being announced for Xbox got more pushback than Final Fantasy 16 being exclusive.
I was too young. I don't remember.
It wasn't even Xbox exclusive. It was just here. It's on both platforms now, and that got pushed back. Like, what?
Yeah, I can't speak. I was too young when 13 was coming out, but the stuff that I remember was like 15.
The stories of that time are just like. Oh my god! And no one even played Lost Odyssey. People are like, "Oh man, Xbox should bring back Lost Odyssey." You won't play it. You will not play it if it was not on PlayStation. Don't even pretend.
I do notice a lot of that, and I'm not just talking about Xbox. I'm just talking in the gaming industry in general. A lot of really minority groups that are just very loud and like, why won't you bring back XYZ, or why won't you release an update to this or whatever? And then it happens and no one buys it, and it's like, that's why they didn't do it. Like, that's the reason. You gotta buy stuff, man. Like, this is a business. I know it's an art form and a lot of people do this for passion, but like, it is a business. And so like, yeah, like Gravity Rush, one of my favorite games ever made, one of my favorite Sony IP, it sold terribly. They're not gonna make a third one. I'm sorry, they're not going to. I'm gonna yell about it until the end of time, but they're just not going to. And it makes me sad, and I wish they would, but they're not, because it didn't sell well. So if you want stuff, support the stuff you want, and don't support the stuff you don't want. And maybe speak with your wallet enough and we can make a difference in the industry. But not enough people are prepared or willing or even able to do that. So it's not going to change, and we have to accept that. We just kind of have to accept what is at this point. I mean, obviously there's stuff we can still do and moral stances we can take, but no amount of moral grandstanding and refusing to buy PlayStation products is getting me at Gravity Rush 3. So yeah, I've given up on that.
Hey, so I have something to confess.
Are
I've
you
never
gonna?
played Gravity.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Rhina. Okay. Yep, friendship over. I'm kicking you out of the group. Sorry. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Finally,
I'm
free of
kidding.
Naruto.
Oh my gosh, shut
damn.
up. You liked that last episode. Don't even lie.
Hey, it was good, but I'm still gonna be that Naruto hater.
That's fair. I understand.
But
Just
dude,
it's
that's
just like how I am with One Piece, so I totally get it. Don't worry about it.
Speaking of which, Sunday we're doing more Naruto, right?
Yeah, oh for sure.
Oh, good, because I just have my One Piece tournament tomorrow night.
Okay, yeah. No, we'll do more Sunday. But yeah, gosh. So Xbox. What are we gonna do with you?
I personally believe we
yeah.
just need to put them down like a wounded dog. Like,
Yikes.
just put them out of their misery at this point.
You know what, Xbox? You know how you can win me
still-
back? Xbox, you can win me back right now by releasing a PC port of Perfect Dark Zero. The ball is in your court. The ball is in your
They're
court.
gonna have to figure out compatibility if they're actually gonna go the PC route. They're gonna have to figure out compatibility for any game that's not Play Anywhere.
Yeah, that's the
Oh.
other big question.
I
Like,
don't
what
know how
happens to my
difficult-
360 library? What happens to all those games in
Yeah.
my room that I
What
can
happens
play
to
on my
just the
Xbox right now?
One library. What happens to games
Yeah.
like, Helldivers, which is only coming to console and not Play Anywhere? Like, am I just gonna have to rebuy that game on Steam? Like, I don't know.
Also,
Yeah.
I think Xbox will win me back by remaking Halo 5 and releasing it on PC. Except they just don't change anything except enhance the graphics. Halo 5
Okay.
is going to be the new Last of Us Part 1.
Okay. You can have that opinion. That's fine. I
I've
don't
actually
I
never
don't share
really
your
played a
opinion.
Halo
Halo
campaign.
5 is
I never played a Halo campaign in my life.
You haven't played Halo? What?
I played Halo, but I haven't played a campaign.
Yeah, I don't care about the multiplayer more. Yeah, you need to play. We need to play. How have we not done this? Do you own
Get
the
a
Master
Lasso
Chief
run
Collection?
going. Lasso run, let's go.
Rhina,
Jump right
Rhina,
into
Rhina,
Lasso.
do you own the Master Chief Collection? I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you dead in the eyes. Do you own the Master Chief Collection?
Yes.
Then why the hell have you
just
not?
play multiplayer?
Oh my
You just
god!
do multiplayer? You don't do campaign?
Correct. It's Fizz. You never asked me.
Rhina, okay, Rhina, we agree that the One Piece agreement that you and I have is one-sided, right? So I'm putting the
What do you
other
mean
foot.
one-sided?
I'm putting the other foot down. I will
What do you mean
continue,
one-sided?
Rhina. I will continue reading One Piece, the longest thing in the world. If you not only finish Naruto with me, but now also you have to play all the Halo games. I'm sorry, that's the other side of this. You have to. It's that important, dude. You have to. It's gaming history. It's gaming history.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But I have a special condition.
No special conditions. Screw you. I'm reading
Yes,
One
dude.
Piece.
Okay, the special condition is when I get to Halo 2, you and me, we're going to do the hardest Halo 2 challenge.
Sure. Okay, not lasso, but I'll do anything but lasso.
No. Lasso.
We're
We're doing
can't.
Lasso.
Dude, Reno, we can't. We can't do lasso.
I need to do Lasso. I need to do Lasso with somebody. I need that achievement.
It's
So, Fizz,
Rena.
you're doing Lasso, or I'm not finishing the
Raise
Not-
mind on Lasso.
Rena, not for the first playthrough. We can't. It's gonna be miserable.
Yes, we do.
It's gonna be miserable for one. We're not gonna get any of the cutscenes. You're not gonna get any of the cutscenes. And then also like it's gonna take forever. If it's
So
even
all I'm
possible.
hearing is, "Bark, bark, 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 bark,
Yes.
bark, bark."
Yes, Halo 2 is hard. It's hard, okay?
All right, so-
Not for the first playthrough. I will do lasso. I will do lasso. I will commit to that, but I can't do it for the first playthrough. The first time we gotta go through all the games on heroic probably, and then we can worry about the rest of the hard difficulty
Is
stuff
this the
because you don't
message you're
even
sending?
understand Halo yet, so you don't even know what you're getting yourself into. You know what I mean?
So
That's
is this
not
the
fair.
message you're sending to your audience
Yes!
children is that
Yes.
they can't do it and
Don't-
they're useless?
The message I'm sending to my audience is don't play Halo 2 Lasso. Don't do it to yourself. It's not worth it. It never is.
Alright,
That's the
fine.
message.
Here's what we
That's
do.
my official
Halo 2
stance on Halo
Lasso,
2
melee
Lasso.
only. Halo 2 Lasso, melee only.
That actually makes it easier, unironically. Melee only is a very common strategy for
one of your
Halo
only
2 Lasso.
options.
Yeah, it's one of your only actual options in Lasso.
Alright, but either way, it's Lasso first playthrough because I'm not installing Halo right now. I don't want to support anything Microsoft right now.
That's fine. We can do it later. But eventually, you and I, like, that is part of the new arrangement. Is you have to play Halo with me. I can't
Okay, I'll tell you
believe you haven't played a Halo. That's so. That is like
Here's the new deal.
that's a tent pole.
Here's the new deal. Once you get to volume 56 of the One Piece manga,
No.
you have to get to 56.
No. I'm sorry. I can't
Okay,
make that
fine.
deal.
Then
That's
you have to
ridiculous.
finish any lobby.
I'm going to finish One Piece. It's just we're not setting a time for this because this is going to take forever and I'm probably going to make you play Halo well beforehand. So,
Dude, I finished the entire One Piece manga in
yeah, but that's because
1
you're
month.
insane. So,
Okay, once you finish
I have to
any
touch grass
lobby,
and do my job. So I don't have actually I could read One Piece at my job. But still, Yeah, we should probably end it here because I think we're just
It'll
gonna
be a
keep
wild
going in
ride.
circles. It will be a wild ride, and I guess I hope for the best. I hope that we get to see an end of these massive layoffs. So hopefully next quarter, fingers crossed, we don't have to have a repeat of this conversation. But thank you both for joining. I hope you had fun. Not the best, the brightest, happiest conversation piece, but I'm sure we'll have more things to talk about soon because this is the gaming industry. No week is the same. It's exhausting.
Exactly.
But
I still
again,
want to do a hot take episode.
yeah,
That's
for sure.
disappointing by you episode. I was so disappointed. Like that's nothing.
Oh,
we
God.
will. We mentioned you by name in that episode. So
Yeah,
for any
I
for any Sporadic Gaming legacy listeners out there, that this is the Gabe of episode 2 fame. So yeah, no, we will absolutely have you on next time we play King of the Hill. Rhina, you can join if you want to, but yeah, we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you both for coming on. I appreciate it, and we will see you guys the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.